History's made today.
What's that, Frank bought breakfast?
Today is the last day we have one in our 50s, 40s, and 60s.
Well.
Last show for Frank.
You're going to be 50?
No, you're going to be 60, Frank,
right.
this week.
This Wednesday.
I don't know. I might have to get a younger crew in here with me, you know?
I don't know. You're getting up there, too.
I'm only...
Don't your hair and my hair, you've got as many whites as I do. And what, 15 years younger?
Don't tell my girlfriend I'm getting older.
I think she knows. I don't think we have to tell her.
Well, let's get the elephant in the room out right away. And yes, people, Frank finally bought breakfast today. But if I could say one thing, can I have a warm coffee next time, Frank?
Sure.
Got here at 8 o'clock.
Early.
Got here at 8 o'clock, and I think he gave me a double shot because I'm so fidgety right now.
Yeah, maybe just go for the ice cap next time.
Yeah. So here's the takeaway from this, Frank. If you're going to get breakfast, make it right, please.
Sure. So,
once in a blue moon, he does something right, but he screws it up. You know?
Paul.
What time did you get here? 7 o'clock?
Yeah, I think so.
A little after 10.
Well, you know what? I mean, now that he's going to be sick, he's going to be having dinner at 3. So.
Yeah, and he'll be
Why, is that what time you have dinner?
and he'll be walking to the coffee shop in diapers.
Yeah. They're the pens when you're old.
All right. How was the week, Mr. Rushforth? I guarantee you, without even asking, I can tell you it's probably exactly like the week before.
Absolutely, it is. Now, first of all, I was in Vegas all week, so at a conference learning. He
said one day was over 1 o'clock. I mean,
that is a lie. One day was 10 hours. 10 hours of learning. I was fried by the end of it. But
what was it about?
It was about real estate, of course.
No, but what?
It was actually the Follow-Up Boss Conference. It's a contact management system, so it was great speakers. My coach was speaking there, Tom Ferry. It was just a good lineup of good speakers and lots of information, lots of knowledge. I had Jamie with me, one of my agents, and Jocelyn came with me as well. So
State's in the toilet right now.
Yeah, their interest rates, I think they said it was 7.5, which is, I mean, that's, and here's...
What, 4 or 5% more
30
than it was a year
years,
ago?
and that's over 30 years, so it's not like here where at least... The good and the bad here, listen, if you got a mortgage 2 years ago and you had a 30-year at 3%, that's awesome. But the bad is now it's going to really halt the real estate market there because people can't afford to buy at 7%, and then you're in it for 30 years, or the penalty to get out of it is quite expensive. So I think that's the difference between here and there.
Well, that is a huge downfall. Like they don't have 5-year mortgages, 4-year mortgages. They have 30-year mortgages. That's their amortization. So if you're stuck in it...
You know what? Before we go too crazy with that, they get to write off the interest.
They do, but it's still, you got to be able to afford that interest, right? If you had a 30-year mortgage at 7.5%, some of these places, their average sale price is $1.6 million. Do the math on that. Like it's not. I mean, we're very lucky here, and that's why when I was talking to people, they're like, "How are you promoting it's a good time to buy?" I'm like, "Well, it is a good time to buy because I believe interest rates are going to come down, you know. And when the interest rates come down, you would have bought for cheaper than what you would have bought 6 months ago, 8 months ago. So it's a great time to buy. There's a lot more inventory hitting the market. We're going to get way more inventory hitting the market when Jan, Feb, and March comes. Yes, if you can stomach the interest rate, just don't take a 5-year fixed, whatever you do. But if you can stomach those interest rates for, like I said, 6, 8, 12 months, you're going to be in good shape, very good shape.
I know that there's talk that prime's going to go up again. When do you think rates are going to start coming down?
When the economy really starts to feel it. So I think we've started to see some of the pains that go with the high interest rates, but the labor market is still extremely strong. And until we start to see the labor market pull back, I think that's when we're really going to see the interest rate stop. Now, I do think that Tiff Macklem is going to have a really tough decision starting in 2023 because he's acknowledged the fact that a recession's forthcoming. He just doesn't know to what extent that recession's going to be. We've seen the bond market soften. This week alone, one day it went down 0.25 percentage point, which is rare that it goes down that much in one day. But it'll be interesting to see what the inflation numbers are on Wednesday. The inflation numbers are released on Wednesday because that's going to tell us what he's going to end up doing on December 7th.
They were down a bit in the States this week, right?
Just a bit, but not enough to make a big difference. Now, if you look at when inflation really started in both Canada and U.S., it started in March of last year. And they're doing it year over year. So, I think that we've got another 3 months potentially of a little bit of pain with potential interest rate hikes. But once March hits, then all of a sudden, year over year, we'll see that the inflation numbers will calm down. And hopefully the economy won't get hit that hard. But some people hope it does get hit a little harder because they want the interest rates to come down because they've got a mortgage that's coming up next spring and summer. And those are the people that are crossing their fingers, hoping rates come down.
They had some good news in the States this week. Their inflation numbers came down a little bit, so their interest rates actually came down a little bit, which is just a little bit.
Not a lot. That's why we saw the 0.25%
Yeah.
drop here. I think here, the bond markets here are hoping the same type of numbers come out in Canada. Now, we were at 6.9 in October. Realistically, for him not to raise prime by half a percentage point, we probably got to be closer to 6, 5 point, the high fives, low sixes. But if the inflation number goes from 6.9 to 6.7, he might have to raise prime rate another 0.5% on December 7th.
Yeah, I thought we were looking at a quarter. Yeah.
So too, but again, that's on the expectation that the inflation number comes down. But if the inflation number doesn't come down enough, then I'm afraid he might hit us with a 0.5 point again.
But
which is why he didn't do the 3/4, I think, in November, or in October, the end of October, because I think he's just setting himself up to potentially have the option to do another 0.5 point in December.
As we head to recession, a recession obviously is horrible, but it's not horrible for the housing market. We've seen our last 5 recessions here, our housing market did not go down at all. When you look in the States, they've had more recessions than we have. I mean, back in 2008 and 2009, when our market was still quite strong, the States, when they went through that horrible time, in their last 11 recessions, only twice has the housing market gone down. So
The last recession was self-inflicted in the States.
Yes, it was. It absolutely was. So it's, if you're worried about the housing market crashing as we head to this recession, don't panic. The housing market's not going anywhere. If anything, it might even be a good thing for the housing market because that's going to force rates down. And as the rates come down, we're going to get more people buying. I mentioned before, we have millennials sitting on the sidelines with lots of bucks ready to buy. They just can't get in the market right now because it's too expensive. So once the rates come down and they're ready to get into the market, we're going to have a huge inventory shortage. It's even more than what we've been talking about over the last couple of years. The inventory is going to be super, super low with all these millennials looking to scoop up properties.
Hey, Steve, most economists will tell you that this recession is going to be self-inflicted as well.
Really? Because of what?
Government spending.
Government spending, inflation, government,
The inflation numbers to be where they are. It's self-inflicted. Now,
Yeah.
the government will never take responsibility for it because they don't take responsibility for anything that goes wrong. But at the end of the day, their spending habits over the last 3 years since COVID started, I mean, they were bad before. They got even worse as COVID because they had an excuse to spend. That's what's creating a lot of the inflation numbers that we're seeing. It's not Russia, Ukraine. It's not oil prices because we've had the fluctuations in oil prices before. We haven't had inflation at 7 or 8%. It's totally government spending, and so it is self-inflicted. It's just that they're not admitting that it's self-inflicted because they'll never admit that they did anything wrong.
Well,
they did what they thought was helping Canadians when in actuality it's hurting more Canadians than it helped.
they're not admitting it. They won't even admit who stayed in the $6,000 a night hotel room in London. They can't even answer
I
that.
heard you were there, Paul.
Yeah, but mine was only $4,000.
No,
Yeah.
no. When Paul saw that, he went, how do you get a room so cheap?
Wait, was that a motel? But it's true. Frank's absolutely right. It's government spending is out of control. It is self-inflicted. It's causing this recession. It has nothing to do with like Ukraine and Russia and that. It has something to do with it, obviously, but government spending is what's causing this world to go, or this country to go wacko right now.
In the world.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're not the only country that's going through this. The world is going through this. And the world governments love to blame. They like to pinpoint an item that may have helped it a little bit.
Something that is out of their control.
Out of their control, and they use that as their reason. But the truth is, you look at the American budget, same thing. They've overspent, printed money like there's no tomorrow. The only thing that's helping them is that their dollars continue to stay strong. But you look at other countries across the world, including China. China's going through a recession, and it's going to be extremely damaging for them as well. So
Now, I may be jumping the gun on this, but when rates do begin to come down, will that be a slow process as opposed to the way they went up?
Probably.
I think so, unless we have some kind of we're already starting to hear wear masks again, and we've got unless we have another pandemic, then I think it is going to be a slow drop. It's not, now we'll have some months where the drops might be a little more significant, but we're not going to see what we saw in March of 2020, where prime rate came down 1.5% in a matter of 4 weeks.
We're going to see quarter points.
Yeah, we're going to see the quarter point decreases, I think. So what I think is going to happen, I still believe that in 2023 you'll be able to get a 5-year fixed mortgage for a better rate than a 5-year variable, which will tempt a lot of clients to take a 5-year fixed, but they might regret that move in the long run, because in the long run, prime will come down, and so will fixed rates continue to come down. And if you go into a variable, at least you have the option to then convert it, where if you take a 5-year fixed, you're locked in it for that 5-year period.
I'm not the mortgage guy on this show, but I think unless you're looking at something in the low threes, I wouldn't be taking a 5-year fix at all, unless it has a 3 and a low 3 in it, is my opinion. Because I think over time, variable is going to come down a lot faster than fixed, in my opinion. But I'm not the mortgage guy.
2024.
Yeah.
I think we're waiting probably the latter part of 2023 and into 2024 to really see some significant decreases. I honestly think that unless we have a 3 or 4 month period where inflation stays between 2 and 3%, prime rate isn't coming down. So best case scenarios, I would say the second half of next year before we see any decreases in prime, unless we have some kind of casualty or something happens, you know, the economy, the labor market starts to fall dramatically, unless we see any of those factors. But if calling everything the way it is today, prime rate won't come down until the latter part of next year.
So you're thinking variable will be more expensive than a 5-year for about a year?
For about a year is my opinion.
So what's a 1-year fix now?
That's the problem. We're in an inverted bond market, so taking a 1 year isn't the right answer either. The only difference between a 1 year and a variable, I say, is the 1 year you're getting a rate and it's set for that 1 year. Where on a variable, you've got potential fluctuation with prime going up a little bit more.
No one could have predicted what happened in January, February, March, and April this year. Nobody could have predicted that. One thing that I can predict right now, I can tell you that is going to happen again. So you have to time it properly as the rates start to come down and inventory starts to pick up in our spring market. Get in soon because you might be too late. And we will never know because it's so fluid and happens so quick. I could be sitting here on a Saturday and I could say the market's this. The next Saturday it might be like, you should have bought. It's too late. You know,
How much room is there for home prices to come down even more before that?
It's hard to tell. You know, I feel like we're getting near the bottom of that, if not the bottom, but it's just, I feel like over the last probably 10, 12 days, I guess it's the way our team is over the last 10, 12 days, I feel like the market is probably acting the same way. We've been very busy the last 10 or 12 days. Our sales are doing very well. Our listings are doing very well.
So homes are selling.
Homes are selling. And I think, you know, we're getting less multiple offers, of course, but I have some good confidence over the last 10 to 12 days that the market is starting to shift a little bit. Whereas before that, I was kind of like, the market's dead. The market's absolutely dead, but I have some confidence right now that we're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround. So, you know, with the way the interest rates are, people are like, oh no, don't buy now, don't buy now. I'm doing the opposite. I'm saying I would be buying now. Like I'd be buying sooner than later because you do have a lot of inventory and a lot of choice out there right now.
And make your best deal.
Make your best deal now. Yeah, absolutely. Because we could be sitting here in January and I could be saying, you're too late. Yeah. You're too late. You should have bought in November, December. So
by then, Frank will be really old.
Well, Frank will probably be sitting on the beach somewhere.
5218255. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. All right, Mr. Rushforth, how soon before somebody wants to list their home should they be calling an agent?
Right now. Absolutely right now, especially with the way...
How soon, like if I want to list, say, 3 months from now, should I be talking to you today?
Yeah, because a lot of what we do, a lot of our marketing plan starts before we actually hit the market. So the more leeway we have, the better it is. I mean, if we could make sure we get it out to everyone in our database, we make sure that the word's out that your home is about to hit the market. It could be 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months. We could also give you some idea on what to do to get the house ready for sale. A lot of people make mistakes and try to upgrade their house and not put the money in the wrong spot and upgrade the wrong things. So get us through the door, especially right now. We can get their exterior pictures before the snow flies, and we know the snow's coming very soon. So
even if you're not going to list for 3 months, you might as well get some shots now.
Would you rather people see your backyard for what it is with the grass, or would you rather see people just see a patch of snow? So I would get us in the door sooner than later. We don't have to hit the market right away, but if you're thinking of listing in December, January, February, even March and April, because the grass is still pretty crappy, I'd get us in sooner than later, and that way we can give you some ideas on what to do to spruce up the house, inexpensive ways to make money, and it's imperative that you get us in early. If you call us, and say I want to get on the market, next week. Sure, that's not a problem, but we've lost a lot of marketing ideas, a lot of marketing time on market. So get us.
The grass is still green. I can't remember the grass being green in mid-November.
It is, and you know what? There's some gardens that are still looking pretty decent right now. But you're going to want to cut back all the dead stuff and make sure the gardens look good, spruce up the outside, because when the house shows nice on the outside, and of course I got Greg, my photographer here and videographer, and he makes it look unbelievable. The one thing Greg does do too, actually, I remember when I was selling my Navin house years ago. And yes, I put the furniture away and I had to bring it back out. I broke my own rules, but I had an in-ground spa in the backyard and I had a nice big pool and everything was closed. And Greg made it look open. He had, had made the water look blue, made my spa with steam coming off it. He had my fire pit burning wood and stuff like that. So we could do some really neat things.
You made boxes disappear in my office.
Yeah, I know.
What he hasn't done yet, he hasn't figured out, is how to make you look thinner on video.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jeez.
Or the hair.
Is there no Photoshop for video?
The hair looks pretty silver there, Paul, on video.
The lighting.
As my hairdresser says, it's platinum blonde.
Go with that hairdresser.
Just before I give her tip, she tells me how beautiful my platinum blonde hair is. Yes, it is. It's getting a little grayer, I must admit. In fact, I had to redo my business cards because I realized I was a typical agent. I had long hair and not a stitch of gray.
High school picture in your business card?
No, it wasn't that bad. There are some bad ones out there. There's a lot of agents that I'll get introduced to an agent and I'm like, what's your name? So and so. I'm like, oh, you don't look anything like your business card.
Well, how much is the coloring for the hair, Frank?
I don't know. I don't color my hair.
Yeah, actually, Frank, you don't have a lot of gray for 60 years old.
Not bad, eh?
Yeah.
Steve's been gray ever since you started the show.
Yeah,
you were how old?
20,
You were 40.
Well, happen to make you sound good, Frank, will make anyone go gray. So it's Tuesday or Wednesday this week, your birthday? Wednesday, big 6-0.
Wednesday.
Wow.
Oh boy, it's a busy week, but we're taking our top agents out for dinner on Tuesday night. So my last night in my 50s, I'm spending it with my second family.
This is how few friends
awesome.
Frank's got.
Yeah, I've got to
Take them out for his birthday.
Yeah. So Frank, define your top agents. Is it your top 10, your top 5, your top what?
Well, so generally we do our top 20 because we're about 80, so our top 0.25%, and this year will be 26 because of COVID. We haven't had our top 20 dinner the last 2 years. And there's 6 of our agents that made top 20 over the last 2 years that didn't get to dinner. So
How has the year been now? Say the last 6 months compared to a year ago?
So the last 6 months feels like 2019 again, which is a standard, traditional, regular year for us. The numbers are very similar to what they were in 2019. So, but it's interesting how you just adjust. I mean, we were so busy over the last 2 years that you're hearing some of our top agents like Derek Artichuk, who's always busy, saying, "Oh my God, like I'm not busy," but yet his numbers are similar to what they were in 2019. But because of what we've gone through in 2020, 2021, feels like we're not busy, even though we're really back to normal.
You can't be doing much refinancing.
We are actually. The reason for that is, what we have to do is we have to have some tough conversations with clients. You have to get, if you're in a, if you have 3 years left at 1.89%, it does not make any sense to break that mortgage in any condition. So, either if your financial institution offers a home equity line of credit, that's the route to go to do a refi to get some extra money, tap into your equity, or you have to do either an alternate mortgage or a private mortgage. Now, they're much more expensive, but at the end of the day, you still need to maintain the 1.89, and it's hard to show clients sometimes the savings, because they're only focused on, oh my God, I got to pay 9% for a private mortgage. But that's only on $50,000. You have a $400,000 mortgage of 1.89. It doesn't make sense to break that. Leave that the way it is.
You're talking about people that need the money right now.
Yeah, the extra money, whether it's paying off credit cards. People are hurting. We're starting to talk to a lot of people that are really hurting that 2 years ago didn't have any credit card debt or any outside loans, and all of a sudden they've got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of outside loans. And with the cost of everything else going up, it's really starting to impact their day-to-day life. So, and they've built up a lot of equity over the last 2 years based on what house prices have done.
But
so
it's
for them,
expensive to tap into it, right?
it is expensive to tap into it, but it's less expensive than what you're paying for your current debt. But again, I mean, they get caught up in the fact that they have 1.89. And why can't they get that again? Or because you can't. It's not available right now. So you're blessed that you have that 1.89. And we try to present the positive, very similar to Paul does, right? He talks about, year to year, our house prices are actually up. They're not down. Yeah, the last 6 months they're down. And we need to get clients to focus on the fact that they've done well with the equity in their home. And yes, it's going to cost more to borrow, but you're already paying more interest right now. So I wish I can get you back in at 1.89, but we can't. But here's the options we have for now. And let's see if rates do come down. If a recession does hit and rates come down, then we can come up with a different strategy a year from now.
So it's not surprising that house prices have come down a bit. But I'd say we would be in trouble if house prices came down as quickly as they went up.
Oh, that'll never happen. I don't ever. I mean, we went up so fast, so quick, and they're coming down. But just picture it like a mountain. You know, we were at the top of the mountain, and now we're just at the crest of the top of that mountain. So we've only come down a little bit. But I can tell you one thing: in mortgage industry, real estate industry, probably a lot of industries, in 2023, you better sharpen your skills. And it's the agents, mortgage or real estate, the agents that really sharpen their skills and work on their craft that are going to be ahead. I think we're going to see some agents leave the business, some mortgage brokers leave the business. It's going to be a challenging year, but it's a year to sharpen your skills and get better and become the master at your craft.
And you better find the best people you can right now. If you're looking for a mortgage, you better find somebody you can trust.
Yep.
If you're looking to buy or sell a house, you better find somebody you can trust. Take your time, interview as many people as you want, because you want to go with the best of the best right now.
Well, and
some research too, though. Because I'm telling you, there are banks that are calling their clients and telling them their mortgage is up in June. Your rate could be significantly higher in June. Yet that same bank's economist is saying that we're going into a recession and expect fixed rates to come down. So you're getting mixed messages. Now, why is the bank doing that? Because the bank is thinking about the profits, and they really are.
Mortgages that are coming up in June, what would they be at about?
Probably 3%. So all of a sudden, what the bank is saying, why don't you early renew now, just in case rates go up? So what that means is that they get out of the 3% mortgage now for the next 6 months. So they lose out on that 3% for the next 6 months, and now they tap them into a higher rate, and they're close to 6%. They're close to 6%, most of the banks on a 5-year fix. So you're going from 3 to 6% without any, when that same bank's economist is actually telling us that rates will probably be lower in June. So why do it?
Frank, this is where you're going to see the how honest a mortgage broker is or a banker is. Like if they're touting getting you in a 5-year fixed right now, they're not doing a good job. They're making more money for themselves. They're not doing a good job.
I will say that we're doing some 5-year fixed, but it's because that's what the client wants.
Yes.
Listen, at the end of the day, you present. Here's what you present. Here's what now. A year ago, you, me, none of us thought the prime rate would go up 3% this year.
No.
None of us thought, Tip Macklem didn't either, because he told us that Canadians had nothing to worry about until 2023. So, and he's the governor of the Bank of Canada, so if he didn't know, he should have seen inflation coming. I mean, that's where he made a mistake. He had statistics in front of him that showed that inflation was going to be a problem 2022. He just didn't act on it quick enough. So how could we be expected to really know? All we can go by is the statistics that are out there, the data that comes out. Are there circumstances like Russia and Ukraine that put a little
COVID
into it?
COVID.
At the end of the day, COVID. But at the end of the day, the way the economy is right now, the way the economy is heading, feels like recession, and recession means bond markets have started to come down, soften up a little bit, which means that fixed rates are trending towards coming down.
Yep.
521 Talk, 521-8255. We'll be right back. Welcome back with Paul Rushforth and the aging Frank Napolitano.
Like a fine wine.
Yeah, like a fine wine, all right. Yeah.
All right, so now, as of today, you can still put money in your RRSPs, right? To take out for a first-time home buyer to put down as a deposit on a home.
Yes, well, let me clarify with the RSP. It's not only first time, because I get that all the time. It's like, what if I've gone through a separation? Well, then guess what? You get to tap into your RSP again.
Over how long? You have to wait a certain period of time?
No. So two ways that you can get in if you've already used the RSP program. The one thing though is it has to be paid back. So you know the way when you take money out of an RSP, you got 15 years to do installments. So as long as it's paid back, if you either go through a separation or divorce, you can now tap into the RSP again. Or if you've gone 5 years without owning a home. If you've gone five calendar years without owning a home, you can again take money out of an RSP for
but all this is
down payment.
All this is going to be gone when they bring in the tax-free first-time savings account. They're not going to have both programs.
I think they're going to have both.
Are they?
I feel like they're going to have both. Again, they're very vague because they introduced it. I think they introduced it as part of their election platform.
Well, they said, where you can put away up to $40,000. I think it's $8,000 a year.
But listen,
it hasn't started yet. We don't know when in 2023 that's going to start.
Well, we think it's going to be in January, and we think we'll get more details over the next 3 or 4 weeks. So I think but it'd probably be a pretty basic savings plan, home savings plan. We used to have them back in the '80s. There was a home savings plan back then too, where you put money in in a home plan, and then you can take it out, and the interest you got on it was tax-free, which is similar to what we're doing here. So this is
like a TFSA for
it's
home buyers.
you know what, it really is a TFSA at the end of the day. It's just that, you know, on the TFSA, you're putting money again in a savings. This one will be specific to a home. So the TFSA, you can take it out for anything. The home one is meant to be only to be taken out when you're actually buying a home.
Is this a good deal for first-time home buyers?
Well, I think everything's a good deal for first-time home buyers because they got their backs against the wall right now.
Well, except for the deal where you're sharing your house with the government.
So that's the one we'd like to see them amend.
We don't even hear about that, though. I haven't heard about that in
It's just an awful
eons.
plan.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's just an awful plan. That's why it was just there.
But do you know anyone who's taken advantage of it? I don't.
I know half a dozen people that have taken it, and out of that half dozen, 3 of them have already refinanced their home and paid it off so that they don't have to share the equity anymore. Because once you pay it off, you don't have to share the.
But you're doing all the
equity
work, right?
anymore.
You're doing
Of course
all
you
the
are.
maintenance, you're paying all the
course you are.
taxes, and then
Yeah.
they get to share in the profit.
That's the part that home buyers don't want a part of. Like that's the part that we say this is what's happening. If you finish the basement, you're adding $50,000 to the value of your home.
Government
It
gets
costs
to
you
share.
$50,000. They get 10% of that. If you got the 10%.
It was, you know what? It was a great program until we heard you had to share the ownership. That part, and that's, good on the government, smart move. But at the same time, if you
Well, not so smart, nobody's using it.
well, that's true. That's true. So I don't know anyone that's worked with our team that has used that program. And if they did, I would have told them not
The
to.
government will tell you if house values go down, then we're taking a hit too. No, you're not, because you're not giving them back the money. You're just not getting any of the profit.
Yeah.
So they still lose. It's the same thing as I heard this commercial on the sports betting. I'll give you a guaranteed win for $149, and if you don't make money, you'll get the next 2 months free. Well, if I lost money, why would I take your advice for the next 2 months? It doesn't make any sense. So,
Yeah.
again, at the end of the day, the programs for first-time home buyers, they need to be accelerated only because their backs are against the wall right now. With interest rates being where they are and the house values have gone up as much as they have over the last 2 years, it's extremely difficult for them to get in. So I think that first-time home buyer incentive program needs to be updated, get rid of the home ownership. And they even have some restrictions based on what the house values are today. A lot of people don't qualify based on that part too. So they need to loosen that up a little bit.
But does the government even want people buying homes in these times?
Well, not now.
It seems like
not
they
now.
don't.
They're okay with the break based on what's happened the last 2 years, but I think that attitude will change probably in the spring. If builders stop building homes, well, now you're taking even more labor away. You're taking more jobs away. You're hurting the economy. All the wood, everything that goes with it, it all multiplies. So I think that they're okay with it now based on what we've seen in real estate and builders over the last 2 years. I think they'll start to feel the impact. And add to that the fact that immigration, now they've upped it. I mean, it's 400,000 or 500,000 people coming in. You have to build homes. These people need to live somewhere. What's scary for me, everybody in our business, we talk about the homes. I say, wait a second. We can barely make ends meet right now with our healthcare system, with the people we have. If we're adding 500,000 more people, is our healthcare going to get even worse than it is now? It's hard to fathom that could happen, but that's possible. So, I don't think they think everything through. That's why the first-time home buyer incentive program doesn't work. Because
No.
They didn't think it through. They didn't think about the negatives. They just, hey, elect us. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put out this great
We're
program.
doing something.
As a first-time home buyer, you're going to have a very small window to get into this market as the rates come down. We're already starting to see a trickle effect of first-time home buyers coming back into the market. When the rates start going down, they got to get in quick because the value of the homes are going to start to skyrocket. So it's going to be a small window for those first-time home buyers to get in.
So would you recommend somebody as a first-time home buyer with not a whole lot of money to get into the market as soon as they can, get whatever they can, whether it's a condo, whatever, and then maybe 2-3 years from now be able to flip that into something a little bit better? Is it more important to get in the market sooner than it is to wait?
Get in the market sooner than later because what we saw at the start of 2022, I think is going to be child's play compared to what we might see if the rates start to come down, if the floodgates open. I mean, I know lots of first-time home buyers. I know lots of millennials that are just sitting and waiting. And as soon as that market starts to shift again, you might be too late. Get in as soon as you can. Like I said, stomach the rates for about 12 months, and then you're going to be in the driver's seat.
This is where it's important to talk to a good agent to time this out.
It is. And you know what? This is where we earn our money. You know, like, you know how many times we did not get a listing in the start of 2022 because the consumer thought, oh, anyone can sell a home, so I'll just go with the cheapest person possible. And now we're earning our money. Like, this is where the best of the best, you have to use the best of the best. I don't care what industry you're in, but real estate and mortgages, for sure, right now, it's a tough time.
Are you getting any first-time home buyers knocking on your door now, Frank?
We are. Again, they're testing the market. They're just trying to figure out whether they can qualify or not and what their payments are. And most of them are disappointed, let's just say, because with amortization still restricted to 25 years, if you're putting less than 20% down, which most first-time home buyers are.
Yeah, 20% is a big nut these days.
Yeah.
An average home 600, so you're 120 grand. There's not a lot of first-time home buyers that are sitting on 120 grand.
An average home is 700.
So 140 grand.
Yeah.
And then you put in closing costs, land transfer tax. Even though you get the $4,000 land transfer tax rebate, the provincial government has never amended the land transfer tax. Like, the land transfer tax was put in place when the average home was $75,000, and it's the same land transfer tax that people are paying. And now the average homes are $700,000. Like, they need to amend that too, and I can't believe nobody's putting pressure on them to do that.
Well, in Toronto, you have a double tax, right? Yes. You have 2 land transfer taxes, so it's
horrible.
So I don't know how people get into a Toronto market with double land transfer tax. Average sale price $1.2 million. I don't know how they're getting into the market. Some of these people.
They're paying $30,000 in land transfer, $35,000 in land transfer tax in Toronto. It's absurd.
And you can only get an insured mortgage up to how much?
Only $1 million. Yeah. So again, that's got to be revisited, especially. So one of the articles that I saw this week was based out of Toronto. And it was a real estate agent and a mortgage broker having an article, and they're talking about the fact that if you're a young Canadian and you aspire home ownership, leave Toronto and Vancouver now, because you're not going to be able to buy a home in Toronto, Vancouver. You might as well move somewhere else and start your career somewhere else where you have a chance to buy a home. Because if you stay in Toronto, Vancouver, the likelihood of you owning a home is very slim.
Yeah, Frank, but this is one of the reasons our prices went up so quick, was because we had so many Toronto buyers coming here. And, for them to go $150,000, $200,000 over asking price to buy that townhome for $750,000, that was a steal for them. I mean, that same home in Toronto was $1.2 million. So for that, and that's why we saw a lot of Toronto buyers coming here, outbidding people by $50,000, $70,000, $80,000, driving up the price of all the townhomes and all the homes in general. But we saw a lot of Toronto people coming here for investment purposes too. They're buying those townhomes for investment purposes, where we were not buying townhomes for investment purposes because you're upside down. The Toronto people, they didn't care. They were getting them for a song, for a deal.
There's the other slowdown there now?
We're going to see a little bit of a slowdown, but it's still super expensive in Toronto, and it's only going to get worse. And, there's a lot of people that are still working from home. Why not come to Ottawa, pick up a home for a fraction of the cost, and work from home here from Ottawa? And then that's what we're seeing. We've probably never worked with so many Toronto buyers than we have in 2022. Like, I almost feel like, I don't know the number, but I'm going to say 15% maybe were actual coming from Toronto directly because of the prices here in Ottawa.
Yeah. This is where, though, so not only are the first-time home buyers on the sidelines, we've got the investors that are on the sidelines as well right now, because you can't make a house cash flow. Like, you can't, not even a condo that you might be able to pick up for $400,000, it still can't cash flow unless you're putting a 50% down payment.
So until rates come down.
The rates need to come down because the rents haven't matched what the rate increases have been, what the mortgage payments have been. So, and again, you've got some landlords that I talk to that still have, renters in their townhome, and luckily they picked up that townhome for $300,000 5 years ago, and their mortgage is like at $185,000. So they're lucky, but they got their townhomes rented at $1,400 a month, which is $1,000 below market value. And good luck with those people leaving. Like, why would they ever leave? They're subject to 2% increase every year. 5 years from now, their rent will be $1,600 at most. And
I have two tenants that I'm begging to leave. Like, I want them to. They're getting rent for a song. I mean, even though it's covering my mortgage by a lot, but they're super cheap. I could be getting one of the townhomes that I own. I could be getting $800 a month more if they left. So I would be okay with them leaving. But you're right. Frank's right. You have. Oh, I don't like the ring of that. Frank's right.
Oh, you said it 3 times today.
Not only have we lost 2 huge segments, we've lost first-time home buyers and investors. Yeah. 2 big segments that are out of the market right now.
It's going to get better. It's going to get better.
It's a good idea for a video. Just I'm talking to Greg on the sidelines here, but we're on the air.
528-255. We'll be right back. Welcome back. back to the show. Paul, are you running into people that you tell them they need to renovate this or that, and they just say, I don't have the money?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, because like Frank said earlier, it's so hard to refinance to get that money nowadays, or it's actually probably stupid to get that money sometimes. So we're seeing people that we're just pricing accordingly, which is pretty much what we've done over time. If your house needs the renovation, first of all, get us in the door before you do the renovation, because I'm seeing so many people make mistakes, and they renovate things thinking it's going to bring a big return. And the general rule of thumb, depending on what the upgrade is, but most upgrades you only get about 30 cents on the dollar. So get us in the door. Don't go spend $20,000 on something that you're going to get a return of $1,000.
So what's the best return? Clean paint and loose carpeting?
So the biggest things you get
kitchen.
Yeah, the biggest thing you get returns on are simple little things: decluttering, cleanliness, which is huge, because if you walk into a dirty house, no one wants it. Light fixtures, that's an easy one. If you go in, you still have those old builder dome lights, get rid of them. You can get lights at Home Depot for dirt cheap. So I would do things like that. And a lot of times it's paint, but keep in mind, someone's coming in your house and painting regardless, but touch up is very, very important. Like,
you don't want colors everywhere. You want something very neutral.
Very neutral. So if you are painting... Pastels, yes. So if you are painting your house in order to sell, because you have those big bold colors, which I would recommend, a very neutral off gray type of tone is what you want. But I'd get us in the door first, because like I said, we're seeing so many people make so many mistakes when it comes to their properties.
What's the best way to get short money, Frank, or something like that?
Well, Frank will lend you the money.
Well, again, depending on your circumstances. I mean, a home equity line of credit makes the most sense. But you may have to do a personal line of credit. Again, if your plan is to sell your property and you'll be able to pay it off at that point, you can just do a personal line of credit, or if you have money in the savings account. But if you have to borrow it, I wouldn't do a credit card unless you get one of those credit cards where they give you 0.99% for a year kind of thing. So
do those things still exist?
Yeah, they do actually. I still get offers all the time. I get them in the mail and transfer your balance. And,
is that why you have 17 credit cards?
That's why I have 3 credit
cards.
Okay.
2 your wife know about, right?
Yeah. I need one by myself because the way she spends.
Yeah.
I got 50 marriage. She goes, you make it, I'll spend it.
Yes. So Frankie, this is your last segment in your 50s, bud. Make it work. Make it count.
It is, and I want to talk about an event that I'm putting together that Paul graciously is sponsoring as well.
But no, Paul is not graciously sponsoring. Paul is told he's sponsoring it.
Yeah, because I'm told I sponsor your golf tournament.
It's true. I know. I get it.
But no, I'm putting a poker tournament together on December 7th at Villa Marconi. You'll see it on our website this coming week. All the information, all of the money, every single penny that's raised in this tournament. Players' fees, sponsorships, all the money is going to 2 amazing charities. Ottawa Food Bank, which is struggling right now because they have more people going to food bank than ever before. So Ottawa Food Bank we're giving, and Villa Marconi, which is a retirement home for Italians that again could use the money as well, because we all know what the retirement homes have gone through over the last 2 years.
Are you still looking for sponsors?
I'm still looking for sponsors. So table sponsors are like to play the poker tournament is $100. Sponsoring a table, a regular table, $750. I've got 4 feature tables, which are $1,500, and those are the tables that always the last 32 players, and as you whittle it down, they'll be at those tables.
Let me guess, I'm sponsoring one of those tables.
Yes, you are.
I knew it.
When I go to your
and checks are still made out to Frank Napolitano.
No, every single penny. On the table? Honestly, people said, Frank, it's not illegal to play poker. It's illegal to rake on poker. There is no raking in our tournament. Our tournament, we're hoping to raise anywhere between $30,000 to $50,000 on this tournament, with the money being split evenly between Villa Marconi and Ottawa Food Bank. And again, even if we have 30, Food Bank will tell you at $15,000 they can multiply it by 5 and they'll get $75,000 worth of food. So that's a lot of money. So we're really excited I'm really excited to be putting it together. So that's on December 7th at Villa Marconi, and just go on our website this week and you'll see all the information on it.
There's still room for players?
Still room for players, because I haven't really, apart from the players that played, last time I held it was in January or February of 2020, right before COVID. So those players are all getting an email on Monday morning. And every single one of them has been reaching out to me for the last year. When are you doing it? When are you doing it? So now that I see what the food bank is going through, I figured I'd do it right before Christmas because they could use the money. So.
And the sponsors get a spot in the tournament?
Sponsors get a spot. So potentially get to meet and maybe even play against Paul Rushforth, then I might put in a special prize for the person that knocks Paul out.
Am I allowed to win?
You're allowed to win.
Okay.
Unlikely, but...
And prize money would be...
So, well, there's no prize money, again.
No, but if you go all the way.
Yeah, so what happens is the final 8 that make it, there are sponsors have, with the sponsor money, we take it and we turn it into gifts. Some, others, like, we're corporate season ticket holders to Sens, so we'll have some Sens season tickets, game tickets. But there's $3,000 travel voucher, 75-inch TV, 65-inch TV. There's a number of other nice items for the final 8. So if you make the final table, but, like I was telling Paul, when it comes to poker, number one, people who play poker are very competitive. It's not necessarily about the prize. It's about bragging at the fact that you won a poker tournament. That's number one for most, and raising money for great charities, which people are very happy with as well.
Wouldn't that be something if you won?
Oh, yeah. You'd be listening to it all. After I bought breakfast, you'd be listening to that.
Like I said, I'm putting a prize out for who knocks Paul out. I'm hoping to have Steve. I want Steve. I'd like you for you to be there too, because it would be a lot of fun, I think. So
just before we get to Frank's vowels for all his birthdays, next week you have a special. We have a special, not guest, but we have special people
ladies.
It's ladies' day in the studio. We have Dora and Barb Kramer's making a return to the radio. So and Steve. So
Steve's gonna wear, I think, a dress next week. And
well, why change now?
Yeah, why change now? Just wear panties this time.
Before we get to Frank and stuff, we do have a very, very, apparently your team doesn't take a lot of time to make messages, but we do have a little message from your team, Frank.
Oh. Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am.
They gave you the time it deserved.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. But I've got other birthdays. A whole bunch of my friends and staff members. Diane Lowe, our underwriting manager, celebrating her birthday tomorrow. Paula White, Derek Artichuk's significant others, got her birthday on Monday, along with my good friend Otto Bernardi on Monday. Scotty Hunter, one of our top agents, celebrating his birthday. Leo Myrino, who is 2 days younger than me. He celebrates his 60th on Friday as well, so happy birthday to Leo. And then my good friend Joe Ranieri from Villa Marconi, celebrating his birthday this week as well. So,
well, I got a birthday.
all of them.
Frankie Napolitano turned 60 on so Wednesday. Turned 60. Make sure you wish him happy birthday if you can see the message.
What is 60? What do you get for somebody?
60 is the new 50. 60 is the new 50.
Is it?
It is.
New 40.
I'm 49 for the 11th time. Is what I'm
Our producer Stephen right now is not happy with us. We were supposed to be out a long time ago.
Have a great birthday, Frank. Have a great weekend.
Have a great week.
Continue to support local businesses and charities.